The dual cab utility segment is a hive of activity at the moment, and now it's Mazda's roll of the dice with the long-awaited third generation BT-50. There's more safety, more tech, and inside the cabin of this top spec GT variant, a leather lined interior. Yet underneath, the BT-50 is a carbon copy of the new Isuzu D-MAX. It's a big change. Let's see how it measures up. This is a new direction for Mazda's utility range. Whereas the previous BT-50 shared origins with the Ford Ranger, the new model is closely aligned with the Isuzu D-MAX. So much so, the engine, driveline, steering and suspension tunes are all identical. And the BT-50 is even built by Isuzu on its Thai production line. Of course, shared platforms are nothing new in the ute segment, with Mazda's previous partnership with Ford dating back to the 1970s. The new BT launches initially in dual cab form only across 3 grades: XT, XTR and GT. All 3 draw power from an Isuzu developed 3-litre turbo diesel 4-cylinder paired with either a 6-speed manual or a 6-speed automatic transmission, plus a choice of 4x2 and 4x4 trims. Prices are up across the board, yet so too are equipment levels. Inside the cabin of this top spec GT variant, Mazda has put its own spin on things with soft leather seats and even trumped Isuzu with the installation of seat warmers up front. Otherwise, the cabin is all carryover from the D-MAX though. The same 9-inch centre screen and software, the same climate control switchgear and the same driver instrument cluster. The news is mostly good. You have decent incidental storage, charging points front and rear, and even rear air vents for second row occupants. With that said though, the execution could be better. There's no volume knob for the stereo. You have to use a fabric tether loop for the child seat anchorage points in the second row. And there's also this weird arrangement between the sun visor and the mirror. They touch. What has improved dramatically is safety, with the installation of 8 airbags, including a centre airbag that prevents front occupant heads from colliding in an accident. There's also autonomous emergency braking and a slew of other driver aids, including adaptive cruise control, which play to the BT-50's more rounded skill set on the road and away from it. The muscular soundtrack of the BT-50's former Ford-sourced turbo diesel 5-cylinder engine now makes way for a new 3-litre turbo diesel 4-cylinder that is sourced from Isuzu. Aside from some clatter at low revs, the engine makes power in a smooth and tractable fashion. And there's a nice synergy between the 3-litre and the 6-speed automatic transmission, which also has a nice spread of ratios and provides smooth, well-timed shifts. I also like the way that the gearbox kicks down gears upon braking, and it allows the engine to settle into a really nice rhythm on the highway, doing just 1500 RPM. If anything, the drivetrain feels a little bit short on torque, and for that reason, the engine does rely on the gearbox a little bit to kick down gears in order to keep the engine at its sweet spot. Officially, the turbo diesel makes 140 kilowatts and 450 newton meters, 7 kilowatts and 20 newton meters less than before. Yet it boasts a superior fuel economy rating of 8 litres per 100 Ks, which we went close to achieving. The new BT features a brake towing capacity of 3.5 tonnes, while this GT variant offers a 1,065 kilogram payload. BT-50 devotees will appreciate the introduction of electrically assisted power steering for 2020, the quieter on-road presence, and also the slightly more civilised ride. If anything, the BT-50 feels less agricultural on the road than before and more approachable, which really does bode well for its family appeal. I must say though, given all the changes for 2020, the new BT-50 doesn't really set any new benchmarks in terms of ride and handling. So the Volkswagen Amarok and Ford Ranger are safe on that front. Pitter-patter bumps still tremor through the cabin quite noticeably, and on a bumpy B-grade road, the ride can be jarring at times as well. But with that said, the BT-50 is much more confident during changes in direction, and it has a newfound lightness that is underpinned by a more composed and more refined driving experience. One other observation, it's great that the BT-50 has this entire new safety suite for 2020, but if anything, I found a lot of the technology a little bit overzealous in its application, so perhaps a bit more fine-tuning on that front as well. We didn't perform any heavy load testing with the BT-50 this time round, or venture too far off-road, but recent experience with the twin under-the-skin D-MAX suggests a promising scorecard for the Mazda on both fronts. An 800mm weighting depth, low range and high range four-wheel drive, and a rear diff lock are all welcome additions. Less so the absence of a tray liner or even a tonneau cover as standard on our $60,000 test vehicle. Like all Mazdas, the BT-50 is backed by a 5-year warranty in Australia. Ultimately, there are two different ways of looking at the new BT-50. It does take a major step forward in terms of tech and safety and a more polished on-road experience without setting any new benchmarks. On the other hand, it's a carbon copy of the Isuzu D-MAX, taking in all of its strengths and weaknesses. In isolation, this is a great truck, but you have to wonder just how much traction it's going to gain in a segment that's already full of terrific offerings.